So broadly speaking, your vocal habits will likely fall into one of two categories, and they're both driven from fear. They're both driven from a fear of actually being heard. So let's look at each of these. So the first one is where your voice is pulled back into your throat, and actually you pull your energy within as well. So from a vocal perspective, this could look like mumbling. You could feel that your voice is sitting at the back of your throat. You might sound very monotonous and expressionless. There's probably going to be a powerlessness in your voice. It's probably going to be quite weak. You might have a lack of clarity because you mumble, and you might run out of breath easily or hold your breath when you're speaking. So this is really the energy of introspection and reflection. And so you'll probably find, if you relate more to this, that you avoid sharing your feelings, you avoid speaking up. You bite your tongue, you don't express how you really feel. And this could very well cause frustration and anger because you might feel people talk over you, you feel ignored, you feel no one notices you, and you might get passed over for promotions and opportunities because it might come across like you're not that interested, you don't really care, or you don't really have any opinions, you don't really have anything to share. So the other side of the coin is really the opposite. So this is where your voice is pushed out. There's a lot of force behind your voice. So likely your voice is very strained, very pushed. It could be very loud, and people know you're in the room because they hear you, but you don't have the ability to really vary your volume. It's loud or nothing. And potentially your voice could lack emotion because it's just one volume. It lacks variety, it lacks expression. And so there's no subtlety, there's no nuances in your voice. This voice is often pushed onto people indiscriminately, and you like attention, you like to be heard. You might find that you talk over people, you dominate conversations, you're a terrible listener, and you might come across a little bit arrogant and demanding. But deep down, there might be a frustration that you struggle to actually emotionally connect with people because almost this voice is protecting you from real vulnerability. So as I said at the start, they're both really driven from fear, and they're both really driven from a fear of being heard. Because whether you are forcing your voice onto someone or pulling your voice back and not expressing yourself, it's really from this fear of no one is actually going to listen to me. So either I'm not going to bother speaking or I'm going to make you listen to me. Ultimately, we want to find somewhere in the middle. We want to find a voice that has freedom of expression, that has an openness, that has a generosity and a spontaneity. So you can speak loud if you want to. You are not afraid to express yourself in a meeting. You're not afraid to be vulnerable. You can speak quietly. It's not one or the other. It's also important to say it's unlikely that you're going to be 100% on one side or the other, but we tend to favor one side. And this will very much depend on the conditioning that you grew up with. What did you learn was going to be socially adaptive? To keep quiet or to be heard?